Better Call Saul has 3 episodes left before it ends. Fans are extremely hyped about how Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould will conclude Jimmy's story. What's even more exciting is that episode 11's called Breaking Bad. And you know what that means, Walt and Jesse cameos, baby. So in this video, we're taking a look at what we can expect from Breaking Bad and where it might lead. Let's jump in. First up, Vince let the cat out of the bag at the Walt and Jesse statue reveal. If you're wondering whether Bryan, Cranston, and Aaron Paul are going to show up in episode 11, here's a cue from the show's creator himself. Back on July 29th, the three had a wholesome reunion for the reveal of the Walt and Jesse statue at the Albuquerque Convention Center. Now, Vince was probably really happy at the occasion because he stood next to Cranston and Paul and announced that the next episode will officially reintroduce Walter White and Jesse Pinkman in Better Call Saul. But Paul, on the other hand, quickly joked that we'd maybe see them. Nice save, Aaron. We know you're gonna pop up on our screens in typical Jesse fashion, and we can't wait to see it. What's more, the episode's title, Breaking Bad, was confirmed by Thomas Schnauz on Twitter, and he even added that it was show writer and producer Jen Carroll who chose it. Although this begs the question of whether we're gonna be surprised when Walt and Jesse do show up. In fact, Paul recently said that Gilligan ruined the surprise reveal. He revealed that the return of the two iconic characters was supposed to be a complete secret. If you remember Cranston's brief cameo in El Camino, then you'll also remember how hush-hush everything was about it. Sure, people were speculating whether he'd be making a ghostly return to haunt Jesse, but Gilligan wrote a surprisingly beautiful scene between the two characters that took everyone by surprise. But what was crazy was how secretive the entire thing was. They flew Cranston out to New Mexico in the dead of night, and he even joked that they had a mask over his head so no one would recognize him. They recorded the scenes that they needed, and then he was back on a flight home. And Paul revealed that they did the exact same thing this time too. In an interview with the Albuquerque Journal, Cranston explained that they were basically conducting a covert operation, much like a Splinter Cell gig. They took a private plane to a secret part of the airport, and then they immediately got into an SUV and went to an Airbnb. The most hilarious thing is that they were told not to leave the place until filming began. You'd think the two were in witness protection or something. So after all that secrecy, Peter Gould announced that season 6 would feature the two characters. Paul laughed about it in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, saying that Gilligan and Gould were just messing with the two. But an early reveal makes sense, doesn't it? Sure, if we saw the episode for the first time and had no idea that Cranston and Paul were in it, we'd cheer so much it'd wake the neighbors up. But it was inevitable though, right? Everyone knew that the series would bridge the gap between itself and Breaking Bad, especially as we got closer and closer to the end. People have already noticed that the series became more like its big brother ever since the 5th season dropped. The violence, the intensity, the high stakes, it was all very Breaking Bad-esque. So it only makes sense to involve the two most iconic characters near the end, at least for a few small scenes. People had a lot of theories about what was going to happen, including one where Gene Takovic would eventually meet Jesse in Alaska or somewhere in between. But according to Gould, all of the fan theories are wrong. He told Entertainment Weekly that he's been all over the internet searching for the wildest theories, and he revealed that the writers have come up with something that'll subvert all our expectations. Now that's a huge claim. Does that mean their roles are more significant than we thought? And are we also going to see the return of Walter White Jr. and his need for breakfast? Well, for one thing, Walter Jr. probably won't be making a comeback. Secondly, Breaking Bad isn't the only episode that'll feature them. Yep, from what we know, this is just one episode that's going to feature the pair together. When Fun and Games aired, people thought that the next episode, Nippy, would feature the two characters, but it turned out that it was solely focused on Gene's return to Saul's old cons. And then everyone found out that the next episode was called Breaking Bad, and that's the most obvious hint ever. Fans were shaking with hype. But Cranston revealed on the SMX Basic podcast that there are 3 scenes that involve him and Paul. One with Walter, one with Jesse, and one with the two of them together. But they were shot out of sequence, and the two had no idea where they'd be inserted into the timeline of the series. Finally, what can we expect moving forward, and where does it end? Honestly, we'd love to throw out a bunch of theories at you, but we've learned never to underestimate Gilligan and his team of creatives. lives. We're sure that they're gonna shock us the same way they did with the deaths of Nacho, Howard, and Lalo. But one thing we can be sure of is that Cranston and Paul's cameos aren't just cameos. They are the bridge the show needs to walk over to the other side and give fans an ending that they deserve. And now for some other news. Before we sign off, here are some exciting updates from the cast of Better Call Saul. First up, Bob almost spilled the beans on Kim's fate in a variety video. When Better Call Saul began, the most obvious theory was that Lalo, Nacho, Howard, and Kim had all died prior to the original series, and that's why we never see them. Well, that obvious theory is currently 3 out of 4, and the only person left alive is Kim. Is she gonna kick the bucket, or will we see her in the closing moments of Better Call Saul? Bob and Ray seem to think so, at least they hinted at it in a new variety video. The two are particularly interested in the theory that Kim's gonna show up in the final episode and meet a Breaking Bad style death, but Bob thought that it'd be too predictable if someone killed her. Sure, the stakes can get really intense in the Breaking Bad universe, but the show's writers love subverting expectations. But with the release of Fun and Games and Nippy, things have kinda slowed down, at least for now. We don't know what Gilligan and company have in store for Kim, but as Bob said, if every single prequel character died, it wouldn't be a unique show. Plus, the series thrives on keeping everyone on their toes until the end. And next is a surprising fact about Jim O'Heir's cameo in Nippy. How many Cinnabons do you think he ate? The answer is a lot, like enough to make us jealous. One of Gene's colorful ideas in the episode involves getting the mall's friendly night security chief, Frank, to eat dozens of creamy Cinnabons, and it turns out that Jim O'Heir literally ate dozens of them. Speaking with the New York Post, he revealed that 100 delicious Cinnabons were delivered to the set every single day, and he'd end up ending nearly all of them. Sometimes a take isn't good enough, so you start all over again, and if it were up to us, we'd deliberately ruin a take just to eat another Cinnabon. What's more, even before filming the episode, O'Heir was sent a box of them at home so he could practice living each bite. And on the day of filming, he ate so much that he actually had to have his blood sugar checked out by a medic. He's completely okay, of course, and we're happy that we got to see a Parks and Recreation cast member on the show as big as Better Call Saul. Lastly, Ray actually burst into tears after meeting Carol Burnett. Now, Nippy was a treat to watch, but Gilligan and company sweetened the deal by having comedic legend Carol Burnett appear as Marion. We enjoyed watching her scoot along on her power wheelchair. The writers wanted Marion to have grit and be as independent as possible. In fact, Allison Tatlock, who wrote the episode, told Entertainment Weekly that Carol Burnett was the only person that came to mind when developing the character. And it was a giant surprise for longtime fans, but no one loved watching her more than Ray Seahorn. On Late Night with Seth Meyers, she revealed that Burnett's always been a hero to her. What's more, things got emotional when the two got dinner together. Burnett told her that she's a die-hard Kim Wexler fan, and when she heard that, she actually burst into tears. But we get it, we would have done the same, and that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for watching. So do you think Walt and Jesse's cameos are more important than they seem? And where do you think it ends for Saul Goodman? Tell us your theories down below. And as always, be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more Better Call Saul content. Till next time.